Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am the $1 Parlay Guy. I'm here to break down the Yan versus Dvalishvili card coming up this Saturday or Sunday, depending on where you are. Of course, I'm going to do it in the most absurd way possible and find some clever ways to pick our fighters for the multi or parlay. Now, if you want to see some of the previous results, make sure that you follow me on Instagram at $1 on there. I do weekly breakdowns and then post the results the following Monday. So if you want to make sure that you aren't missing out on any upcoming videos, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel at $1 Parlay Guy on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok as well. For now, we are going to break down Yan versus Dvalishvili. So let's get started. First off, we've got Carlson Harris versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Now, you probably know the rule by now. If your last name ends in OV, we are going with you. So we are going with Abubakar on this one. Next up, we've got Tyson Nam versus Bruno Silva. Not to be confused with the middleweight fighter, also called Bruno Silva. Now, that name must be the John Smith of Brazil. It must be a good name over there, so we are going to back Bruno Silva on this one. Next up, you've got Victor Henry versus Tony Gravely. Now, I was always told never to trust someone with two first names, so we are going to go with Tony Gravely on this one. Then we've got Ariane Lipski versus JJ Aldrich. Now, I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so I am going to go with J. Jonah Aldrich on this one. Next up, you've got Dave Batista versus Guido Canetti. We are going to go with Drax on this one, of course. Up next, we've got Lil Wayne versus Josh Fremd. Now, I had no idea that Lil Wayne did MMA, but I don't imagine he would be very good at it for some reason. So I'm going to go with Josh Fremd on this one. Then we've got Rafael Assunção versus Davy Grant. Now, Davy Grant reminds me of Count Olaf from a series of unfortunate events, and that's a scary. So we are gonna back Davy Grant on this one. We then have Carl Williams versus Lucas Brzezinski. We had a Carl Williams here in Australia. He was a convicted drug trafficker and murderer. I doubt that's the same dude, considering ours was killed in prison, but we're gonna back our own, so we're gonna go with Carl Williams on this one. Starting off the main card, we've got Vitor Petrino versus Anton Turkalj. Now, the last time I talked shit about a guy wearing unbranded gear, he KO'd the other guy. So this time around, we're going to go with Vitor Petrino with unbranded gear. Next up, we've got Said Nurmagomedov versus Jonathan Martinez. Again, you're probably used to this by now. We're going to go with the guy with the last name ending in OV. That is Said Nurmagomedov. We're backing you, my friend. Next up, we've got Ricardo Ramos versus Austin Lingo. Now, Austin Lingo looks like the generic fighter you get in a UFC video game. We are going to back Ricardo Ramos on this one. Next up, we've got our rebooked co-main event from a few weeks ago, Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. We did back Krylov on this one, last name ending in OV, of course. We are going to back him again, Nikita Krylov, for this fight. And now we're up to our co-main event, Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. Again, you know the rule. We always go with the fighter with the last name ending in. Okay, the way we're going to do this is they're both also called Alexander, but obviously Romanov is a little bit more edgy. He's got the E removed from his first name. Alexander without the E at the end there. He seems a little bit more badass, so we are going to go with Alexander Romanov on this one. Then finally, we've got a main event between Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili. Petr Yan also very edgy, removed the R from Peter, even changed the pronunciation to Petr Yan. A little bit more edgy there, a little bit more badass. We are going to go with Petr Yan on this one. Just a quick recap before we put the bet through. We've got Bruno Silva, Tony Gravely, JJ Aldrich, Mario Batista, Josh Fremd, Davy Grant, Carl Williams, Vitor Petrino, Said Nurmagomedov, Ricardo Ramos, Nikita Krylov, Alexander Romanov, and Petr Yan. So let's put this one through. We've got a $1 in, and if I do win, I get $334.41. Here we go, the bet is in. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, click on that little bell so you get notified when the next video comes up. And again, the results do go up on Instagram every week as well, and I'm also on TikTok, so make sure that you follow me on there as well. All the handles are at $1 Parlay Guy. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep it real. I'll see you next week.